Hello, I'm Dr. Cal Sellers, and I had stopped for several years doing YouTube videos, and now I'm back. Because of the need of questions that I'm getting from all around the world today, my goal is to answer some of those questions and help some of the people out who are struggling. So what we're going to talk about today is how to fix the modern health condition. And this will be in two main parts. Actually, this first part will probably squeeze into one fairly short, concentrated video, and the subsequent part will probably take 2 or 3 10 or 15-minute videos in order to get that all chunked down so it's a little easier to go through when you have the time. The goal of this part is just to give you what to do. It's just to deal with exactly what you need to know. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time in philosophy or details about any of that. The goal of the second part is to explain the details for those who have a lot of questions, some of which is not going to be very fun to listen to if you've already bought into one of the common themes out there that maybe isn't giving the results that I want to see in my practice. So, I do run a holistic chiropractic practice. I'm busy every single day. I see mostly patients who have specific health needs. That's what I'm doing. And so this isn't some consultant who took a few herbal courses or who's been taking natural healing courses but who's never been in practice. I've been in practice. I see real people. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing it for long enough to know when I'm getting results and when I'm not, and when I need to change something. And so I think that's the most important thing. However much information you think you've gleaned, if you haven't been able to sort it out by working with people that you then get to see the results that you did or didn't get, and then you change what you do and try something else. And you may buy into a diagnosis early on, as I have, as anyone I think has, and find out later that the diagnosis really is wrong. That people are not getting better using the treatments for that diagnosis, but they're getting better when you use treatments for a different diagnosis. And so unless you're in practice, seeing people over and over and over again, and unless you have assessment tools to see what that person needs, you're going to probably fall short of what's needed to really address the problem in the modern world. Just briefly, I don't want to talk a lot about this because this is just the how-to, but the modern world is part of the problem. The things that worked very well, very effectively 50 or 60 years ago have almost stopped working completely. They still do what they did then. You can still take liver cleansing herbs and it will cleanse your liver. The problem is it doesn't address the underlying problem. It used to be if a person was inflamed, you could just assume toxic bowel, dysfunctional liver, problems with thyroid and adrenal glands, especially adrenal glands. And you would just assume that, and you could treat those, and that person would normally get better. Or you could just balance the meridians if you're into 5-element theory, which I integrate as part of my practice. You could find out where they were out of balance and balance that, and they would just get better. Those days are gone. Today, we're going to have to get the load on the body down below a certain threshold, or that person is simply not going to get better. So the modern condition that we're working on, as far as the practical diagnostic indicators, right? Without getting too esoteric, that's what my next videos are for. The second part of this, the practical information you need to know: this person's inflamed. This person has a lot of random dysfunction in their tissues, which indicates on a deeper level that they just have a lot of micro swelling where there's fluid being lost from the capillaries that's just hanging out in the tissues, making the tissue hypoxic, making the tissue irritated and prone to inflammation. And it can settle anywhere that's weakened due to stress or genetics or infection or trauma of the past. And so when we have those kinds of problems, we're looking at a systemic problem. It's not one or two things. It's a lot of different things going on. And so what my goal is here in the next 5 minutes is to cover what you need to know to get started dealing with the modern condition. Okay, so these people present, right, with this almost pseudo autoimmune kind of problem. They may even get an autoimmune diagnosis, but if you compare their prognosis, what really happens in the progression of their symptoms, to what was happening 20 years ago to the same diagnosis, you're going to find out that it doesn't actually fit very well. They don't really have the same thing at all. They've got some kind of inflammatory process going on, but it's not a raging, specific, directional pathology that autoimmune disease tends to be. So these people tend to, most of the time, they go without a diagnosis, or they get diagnosed with something that's meaningless. And we'll talk more about the different diagnoses and why they mean or don't mean anything in the later videos. But I just want you to catch a picture of what kind of person we're working with. They have digestive distress. They have joint pain that's sort of, you can look at it on x-ray and it doesn't really look like there's anything that wrong with it. It doesn't look like it's aging at an accelerated rate or anything like that. And so this person comes in, they may have arrhythmia of the heart. They may have immunological oddities. They may have vision disturbances, headaches, a lot of different kinds of problems, fluid retention. But always there's a digestive component in these cases. Because that's really where your immune system gets its training, is in the digestive tract. 2/3 of the immune system is in the digestion or some directly related process. So that's where everything is decided, whether your immune system is going to freak out or whether it's going to be okay. All right. So let's just talk about what to do, and we'll talk about theory later. Number one, I strongly recommend learning Qilel, Chilel. You can get videos of this online. There are people on YouTube doing it. You can learn it anywhere. I'm going to put together a video of my daughter doing it very soon, just so that I've got something that I can post on my YouTube where you can go and see everything you need to know to do the Qilel properly, or at least adequately, to get the results. It keeps balancing you, and it keeps energy moving. And when energy moves, fluid moves, blood moves, things don't get stuck. That microcirculation will begin to improve. And you'll also stay more flexible. Digestion will work better. Immune system will work better. So that's number one. Number two, I've got a video that I'm uploading at the same time with this one of 4 basic exercises to correct the heart, to correct the liver, spleen, pancreas, and stomach, and to correct the kidneys. And so those are 4 distinct, very simple exercises that are medical Qigong that, again, I strongly recommend everybody do, just because it's going to keep your body fighting against the modern condition. And it doesn't matter what kind of triggers are in there, whether they're stress or infection or some chemical exposure, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's going to start to correct the modern condition, balance, regulate inflammation, regulate fluid flow, those kinds of things. So that's huge. I want everybody to do that. Some people worry about Qigong like practicing some other religion or something. I get that question a lot from people of strong conservative religious backgrounds, and the answer is, if you think that, you're ignorant, right? And if your minister or priest suggests such a thing, he's ignorant. He doesn't really know what he's talking about. Yes, there are people who have decided to make Taoism their religion, and they may practice Tai Chi or Qigong of some kind as a demonstration, an expression of their religion. But those people are attaching that name to something that really is a healing and healthy philosophy about life and health maintenance. And it's really not that different than living by the Sermon on the Mount. So it's just ignorance that leads to that sort of superstition about that. You're not practicing another religion. What you're doing is giving yourself an acupuncture treatment using exercise, stretching, and breathing and meditation every single day. And it's something you could do at home for free You can do it lots of times if you need to. If your health is that bad, you just do it a lot, and you're going to start to get benefits. We're going to talk about diet. We have to talk about diet. The immune system is being trained in the gut, and regardless of how you arrived there, you may not have arrived there because of diet. You may have arrived there because of stress, or because of just a limited tolerance to the modern world, or because of malnutrition. It may not have been diet per se that got you there, but you've got to get the inflammatory stuff out of the diet. And so we do that by avoiding 6 things, and then we're going to learn just a handful of principles, maybe 4 or 5 principles to help you stay healthy on looking forward. Okay, the 6 foods we're going to avoid and these are in no particular order. I don't know what order they would be in. But we're going to go soy and corn first, and all corn and soy products, including soybean oil, which is the problem, because soybean oil is in your food if you go out to eat. It's always in your food. Everybody cooks in it. They wouldn't have to, but they do. It's lower overhead, and it's available from Cisco Foods. It's the reality we live in. So everybody cooks in soybean oil, unless you have a real specialty restaurant. So that's a challenge. And of course, all soy protein isolate, all that stuff. Just stay away from all of that stuff. Just stop consuming it. Corn and all corn products, including cornstarch and corn on the cob and corn in a can and of course high fructose corn syrup and all kinds of corn byproducts and corn products. Completely avoid it. Number 3, peanuts. Number 4, chocolate. Now chocolate, if you will get raw cacao powder all by itself and make your own healthy version, say an almond milk or something of a chocolate milk, you could have that. But for the most part, you're going to stay away from chocolate. Number 5, modern wheat. In the 1960s, wheat was taken into a laboratory, and they created from about 100 varieties these intensively bred varieties, about 13 varieties that came out of that. And they're what's grown in the world. And they're very, very high in this 12-strand gluten that humans can't really digest. So we're going to avoid modern wheat completely. We're not going to eat it at all. We can have heirloom wheat like spelt and kamut and einkorn. But even those, we're going to want a strong, real sourdough bread if we're going to consume those, or we're going to consume them sprouted in some form like that. We're not going to just eat the dry grain, and we're not going to eat modern wheat at all. We're only going to go with heirloom wheats, which are wheats that did not go through that intensive breeding process to make an unnatural product. And then lastly, dairy protein. Now, I'm a big fan of butter. I'm a supporter of healthy butter from a grass-fed, free-range, happy, healthy cow, if you can find that. But dairy protein, in my opinion, is always a problem for the sick person. Okay, anybody dealing with a modern condition probably needs to avoid that completely. Now, I think all dairy is a problem, but I've had enough real-life experience to know that as far as practical application, if you've got a healthy goat that you're milking and you're getting raw goat's milk, the chances of you having a problem with that are basically none. I mean, it's extremely remote. Usually the people that have issues with that, it's not a food reaction, it's a full-blown allergy. And they know about it. They're very clear that that's a problem for them. But all dairy protein, so whey, cheese, yogurt, milk itself, of course, kefir, all of those dairy protein products, we're just going to not consume those at all. And so it's going to change the face of our diet a lot. Right? So those are the things to avoid, the 6 things to avoid. Let me now give you the basic rules of healthy diet. First of all, your body wants to cleanse in the morning, so either don't eat or have just fruit. And I really recommend that you put off eating anything until 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Maybe later, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. Just let your body rest, rather than dumping something heavy in early on that could potentially be a problem for you. So that's a big deal. Giving your body a chance to rest, to have that gut sort of pump off the fluid, to sort of re-regulate everything. For the same reason, the evening meal, if we eat it at all, is going to be very light, very simple, mostly raw, and we're going to finish it by 7 o'clock at the latest. Okay, that is our protection against the gut becoming loaded up and staying loaded up around the clock every single day. Okay, it doesn't really matter what you eat. If your gut's loaded up all the time, you're not going to get well, even if what you're eating is perfect. Okay, and you have to understand the modern condition places us in a situation where we're going to have to go beyond what seems like a natural, healthy approach just to get well. So that's the first rule. And when you do break your fast, break it with fruit. Fruit will help flush your system. It will nourish your gut itself. And then a half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour later, you're going to have an actual meal. And so this is going to come at 12, 1, 2, 3, would still be okay. Many people are worried about that, but I got to tell you something. You can worry about nutrition all you want. If that gut is constantly inflamed because it can't calm down, your nutrition is going to suck anyway. You can't supplement enough to fix it. You simply can't absorb certain things when the gut is all full of fluid and swollen and dysfunctional. You just can't. So you got to put that out of your mind. As you know, we don't live in the ideal world, and so I'm just going to put that on the back burner because I can't do anything with it anyway. Okay? Stop worrying about getting enough nutrition. For heaven's sake, stop worrying about getting enough protein. All right. We're going to give you a tool for that anyway in the next. So I'm over my time. I aim for 10 minutes. That way I can be done in 20, and I will be. It looks like done in 20. We're at 16 minutes and a half here. So. So fruit first. Have your protein, if you have protein. You don't need a concentrated protein, but if you're going to have it, sprouted legumes, any legume, fish, grass-fed organic beef, those kinds of things, have that at the midday. If you're going to have a heavy meat like beef, it might be best to have it all by itself. Okay. Now, one of the other tools I'm going to give you for protein digestion is before you eat anything that might have a high level of protein, even vegetables, I want you to put a pinch up to 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper in about that much water in a cup. Stir it up, smell it, drink it down 15 minutes before you eat any protein. It will change your life. It will absolutely change your life. It will heal your digestion. You can get off all the stomach suppressors you've been eating, and you can stop them today. Start the cayenne. The problem will go away unless you eat junk. Okay, if you eat a lot of junk, then it'll come back maybe a little bit, but the cayenne is a perfect solution. You will also digest all of the protein you need if you'll do the cayenne first. It will cover a multitude of sins as far as imperfect diet. I don't mean it'll cover junk, but it will help you a lot if you don't necessarily eat as good as you think you should. Always do the cayenne every time, no matter what. Okay? And even before fruit, it would be okay to do cayenne. You maybe don't need it before fruit, but it would only do good if you decided to do it before fruit. And the 15 minutes is an important rule. Doing it 1 minute before or 5 minutes before really doesn't have the same effect at all. You want to wait that 15 minutes and then eat, and your life will be different, I promise you. I promise you. Now, we have people that are super sensitive to cayenne, and those people should probably contact me, and let's deal with your situation. But most people who are worried about it, it's a nightshade, it might cause me problems. No, it won't. It won't. I've been doing this a long time. It won't. You'll be just fine. You'll be better than fine. You'll be better than you've ever been. Okay? So just forget about that, and you'll digest all the protein you need from your food. And you won't need to supplement with protein. You'll get enough from your food. So that's the place to start. And then for your evening meal, very simple, 4 items maximum. So the perfect evening meal would look like this. A piece of sweet potato, maybe 2 inches long and 1.5 inches thick. Or a very small baked potato, small enough to fit in my hand right here. You don't want to eat anything bigger than that. Leave all those big potatoes in Idaho. They love them over there. You don't need them. Just a small potato. Organic would be best. Potatoes do get quite a bit of toxic spray on them. And anyway, so 1 starch is the point. 1 cooked starch, along with 3 raw items. So the classic meal that I give people as an example, shredded carrots, sprouts, and avocado. And then, of course, kind of a dressing you made yourself, because all of the commercial dressings are going to have GMO oils in. They're going, even if they're organic, they're still going to have soybean oil in and canola oil. And you don't want that. You want something that is olive oil, vinegar, seasonings. If there's something sweet in there, it's maple syrup. A very simple dressing. Now, my wife's recipe book is available on Amazon.com, and it's Tracy's Transformational Health Principles and Tracy's Transformational Kitchen Recipe Collection. And if you'll get on and buy that, it will give you so much you need to prepare a healthier, higher raw. It will motivate. It will help you understand these principles that are timeless. They're always going to apply, right? They're by themselves not going to cure the modern problem, but they're always going to apply. It is the best information I know of on the market. We only wrote the book because there was a need. We didn't write it because, we need one more recipe book. We certainly haven't gotten rich off of it. We wrote it because there was a need for people who really wanted to get serious about healing and follow a lifetime of healthy principles. Okay? So there it is. Finally, last thing, I know we're over 20 minutes, but the last thing, diaphragm breathing. Lay in bed in the morning and in the evening for 10 minutes, or if you wake up in the wee hours of the morning, do it for much longer, an hour, more. You're going to lay on one side or the other, doesn't matter which side, and breathe just into your belly. So your diaphragm is a dome like this, and as you breathe in, it comes down. And when the diaphragm gets strong enough, it'll come all the way down, pushing your belly out. The ribs stay pretty still. Okay, they may move a little, but they're not expanding. Right? They're just being shifted by your belly. The diaphragm comes down. When it gets strong enough and gets all the way to the bottom, it'll pull just the bottom of your ribs in a little bit. And you're going to spend a lot of time vigorously, at least 10 minutes, vigorously diaphragm breathing every night and every morning. And as I said, in the wee hours of the morning, let's diaphragm breathe a lot more. You're going to cover so many problems by diaphragm breathing. That's your major pump. It is the primary pump to empty all those fluids that are just accumulating and pooling in your gut and in your legs and in your mediastinum around your heart. And it promotes exchange between your brain and your body. It keeps people from getting headaches once they get good at diaphragm breathing and keep that pump going. Now, it may take you a month or two just to get good enough at it that you've actually got a constant pump going. And in addition to doing it night and morning, throughout the day, if you catch yourself going, and you just kind of walk around breathing up here in your ribs, right? You need to catch yourself often, 20 times a day, check yourself and be like, wait, have I done that? And if you have, stop and spend 20 or 30 seconds diaphragm breathing. Get that diaphragm moving again. Because as you lock up like that, you're creating disease. Okay? So that needs to stop entirely. We need to get the diaphragm breathing working. Most of the people that I have diaphragm breathe, even the ones who get good at it, aren't doing it enough. They're just not doing it with the intention of pumping and cleansing all of the lymph everywhere in their body, the nervous system, all of that. They're not really thinking that way. They're like, okay, I'm putting in my time, but it needs to be so much more than that. Okay, last thing. Whatever your health condition is, get the load on your system below the threshold that you need in order to feel well. So if that means eating less, eat less. If it means eating less often, eat less often. If it means eating just one meal a day, eat one meal a day at 3 o'clock. If it means cleaning every single chemical out of your home. I've got people live in Atlanta, Georgia that are clients of mine who they no longer spray anything inside their house. They steam clean the house. They only spray for cockroaches outside the house. They would never spray inside their house. Every client that I talk to gets rid of their dryer sheets. Friends, don't let friends use dryer sheets. Stop it. It's poisoning your brain. Okay? Get the chemicals out of your life. Stop dousing yourself in perfumes and body products and hair products. Keep it to a minimum. I know. It's easy for me to talk about not using hair products. But seriously, folks, even in our house, I have 7 girls. They all have long, beautiful hair, but we still don't use chemicals and crap in our hair. We don't have to do that. Okay? You can do better than that. Stop the chemicals. Stop eating chemicals. I'm assuming if you want to get well, you're going to do the obvious stuff, right? You're going to quit smoking if you're smoking. You're going to cut alcohol down to a minimum. You're going to cut coffee down to 1 cup in the morning, or a couple of cups in the morning tops. You're going to just make the obvious healthy changes. I know you're going to do that if you want to get well, because that's what everybody understands you have to do, right? There are a lot of things you don't understand. That's what this video is about. I've covered the basics. It took me 25 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, you can contact me through my website. And we're working on some resources that are really going to help anybody who wants to do natural healing. So keep an eye on that website. Keep an eye on the blogs. Watch my videos occasionally. Like me, because that helps me be able to keep doing this on YouTube. And thank you very much. My website is enlightenedrevolution.com, which is going to take you to a website entitled Star Valley Herbal College, which is where I live and where I teach herbal classes in my local community. Okay, enlightenedrevolution.com. So have a check that out. You'll find me there, and any updated information you need. Okay.